This is a Canon RF 85mm f2.0 ISCM lens. This lens is quite great and capable because of its hybridized position in terms of its ability to shoot photos and videos remarkably well, as well as the ability to shoot macro shots. So in this video, we are an unboxing and a review of this Canon RF 85mm f2 macro lens. My name is ABEiiKU. Welcome to the channel. Subscribe if you have not already. Let's unbox and roll on. So on the box, you have this pretty much interesting Canon box that you always have with this kind of setup. Now, Canon is one of the manufacturers that makes pretty nice, interesting unboxing experience. So let's look at what exactly is in this box. You open it, and then the first thing that you're going to find is just the manual in the box. So you have the manual that you're going to find within the box, and this manual is specifically meant for those living in the US and Canada only. So the manual bears all the instructions that you need to be able to utilize this lens. Let's put that one aside. Then inside the box, you unveil it, and then you unveil it as well. That is pretty much what you are going to find within this kind of box. And I mean, this is quite a bit annoying because inside the box, this is the only thing that you're going to find inside this box. This Canon RF 85mm f2.0 macro SCM lens. This is an IS lens, and I expect that Canon will do a lot. So inside the box, you have the lens itself, and on top of the lens, you have the lens cap, and then you also have the bottom part. You also have the lens dust cap. So this one protects your lens from all shades of dust available. Surprisingly, you realize that Canon did not include the lens hood inside this box. And for me, that I think that with this price point of this lens, this is quite infuriating. This is quite disturbing. And I don't understand why Canon would do such kind of disservice to its customers. I mean, a lens of this weight, a lens of this magnitude, in terms of its capability and the price point, I do not expect that Canon would do such kind of thing. And Canon repeatedly does this in its SCM lens. So when you buy the 60mm, the 20mm, the 24mm, if you buy the 50mm, those SCM lenses on the RF system, you are getting no lens hood in it. So with this, I deliberately or intentionally look for a third-party lens hood, which is by OT, which is a 67mm lens hood. So with this, you can be able to simply strap this on top of this kind of lens. So just fix it inside it, and it's pretty nice and interesting. So that makes this lens become this way, which for me, I think that it's in the right perspective. And then with this, you have the lens cap also over here. You remove it, and then you have your lens right here with you. This lens over here, you have this lens, which is a third party, and which pretty much is about $10, which you can buy and use. But I think that Canon needs to change this kind of attitude for deliberately not putting the lens hood in such kind of lens of this price point and its capability. So let's put that one aside. I think this rant is meant for Canon to be able to know that consumers are not really happy with the way they do things. Now, this lens is pretty much built incredibly well. It is not built with metal or anything like that. It is all plasticky, and you can feel it. It has this kind of creak sounds with it when you try to shake it, and that is because this lens has IS image stabilization built into it. On top of the lens, you have three specific buttons. So the first button that you only have is the image stabilization on and off button. You have this kind of auto focus and then manual focus switch, and then also you have the adjustable capability in terms of the focusing capability. So you have the focus in terms of the distance. So you have the full, you have 0.5mm, and then you also have the 0.35mm. So it means that with this lens, when you are using it, you need to properly be able to adjust the minimum focusing distance, which at the minimum focusing distance you have 0.5 meters. So when you have this lens like this, you need to properly adjust the focusing distance in order for you to be able to use it. If not, you are going to have issues with it, because this lens is going to give you that kind of defocusing capability where it's able to move itself up and down, hunting for focusing and all that. But when you're able to learn how to use this focusing, minimal focusing switch on it, you'll be able to properly use this lens and get great shot out of this. Lens has a minimum focusing distance of 1.15 feet. So what it means is that in order for you to focus on a subject, on an object, this lens would need 1.15 feet. And so the distance between you and the subject that you're shooting, this lens is going to give you that kind of focusing distance. And I think that this lens is really excellent purposely for portrait shots. At 85 millimeters, it is very great, especially when we are shooting human subject at 85 millimeters. And that is because you're able to get the features of the individual or the person that you are shooting to become really, really sharp. And then this magnifies the image quality and the features of the person. An important thing that you find with this lens, well, for me, I think that Canon has technically not been doing much going forward in terms of their cheaper versions of their expensive lenses, is that this lens has an IS, image stabilization. And with this, it has 5 stops of image stabilization in it. So when you pair this with an R body or RF camera system, like the Canon RF Mark II, you are going to get over 8 stops of image stabilization. And when you are shooting handheld situations, you'll be able, this lens, and in conjunction with the image stabilization that is built, or the ABEiiKU that is built into the Canon camera body that you are having, will be able to compensate for shakes, for rapid change of movement and all that. This is going to stabilize those shots properly for you to be able to get incredible output in terms of video. At the top here you have the control ring, and the control ring over here would enable you to set this control ring to any kind of thing that you want with your camera, either the ISO, the aperture, the white balance, and so on and so forth. Personally, what I have camera body is that I've set it to the white balance, so that when I'm outdoors shooting, I can easily be able to just turn this wheel around or ring around and be able to get the kind of white balance that I am anticipating or looking at for. Because in a room like this, the room like this has daylight temperature set on, which is in Kelvin. And so with that, I'm able to shoot with this lens without worrying about how it will appear or look like. But when I'm outdoors shooting, or I'm in a viral situation where I cannot control the lighting over there, I can easily be able to use this lens to easily be able to change it to the kind of temperature or the kind of color or daylight temperature I'm looking at for. This is just handy, and I think that is one of the most brilliant things that you find with Canon lens. The dimension of this lens in terms of its height and then the size is that it is a 5.4 by 5.4 by 7.4 inches. Not too tall, it is not too short, and that is why Canon calls this a medium telephoto lens. It weighs just 1.1 pounds, which is quite light. The shooting capability, you can use this lens 85mm to shoot portrait, which is the first thing and the first reason for which anyone would decide to go for an 85mm lens. And also you can use this one to also shoot street photography, and because that is a macro lens, when you have a lens like this and you go for an event like a wedding, you get close to the subject. Or for example, if you are shooting rings, you don't need to change your lenses or anything like that, because this is a single lens that you have, and this is going to give you an amazing kind of output in terms of your ability to shoot both macro and normal shots. As 12-pin communication system. So the 12-pin communication system is what you have over here. These are the 12-pin communication system. And when you pair this with an R-body camera system, like the Canon RF Mark II that I have, you'll be able to get a very fast, silent, brilliant, fast autofocusing system with this. And that's going to become very speedy in terms of when you are recording videos or shooting in any scenario that you are given. This lens will really communicate with the camera body that you have. It's an RF camera body that is going to give you an amazing kind of output in terms of the speed with autofocus. The only problem that you're going to have is that this lens tends to jig forward and back, or go forth and back in terms of when you're trying to focus on a subject. And that is why it's important that you try to learn how to use this kind of focusing switch on this lens, so that you know the minimum focusing. You want to really focus on the subject, and you think the subject is too far away from you, then you have to put it in on full. So you have the full switch over here. So you put your focus switch on full, of let's say you put your maximum magnification switch on full, and that means that if the subject is far away from you, you can be able to easily find the focus that you are looking for. And then when the subject is a bit closer to you, you can then bring it back to, let's say for example, bring it to the middle, which is a 0.35 millimeters focusing. And then when you bring it to the back or the last point too, you are also going to have the 0.5 meters in terms of the magnification. So that is the one thing that if you are using this lens, you need to be able to adjust yourself to the area around this session. We'll take a 67 millimeter filter. 67 millimeter filter over here, which is from KNF Concept, which is a variable ND filter, easy and slow. So you have this kind of filter placed on this. Images that you're going to get out of this is really beautiful. It has the Canon color signs, which are really brilliant. It is very sharp, even at f2.0. Sample shots that I shot from this lens at events that I attended. I want you to make the judge out of this. Enjoy it. This is a Canon RF 85mm f2.0. It's a wide aperture of f2.0. You are getting a lot of light in it. It is a brilliant lens. It has nice colors. It has gorgeous sharpness and details that you are getting out of this. And I think that with this amount of money spent on this lens, you are getting an amazing deal out of this. I know a lot of people have bastardized this lens quite a lot, but for me, I felt very happy using it, and I think that the result speaks for itself. If you manage yourself in a bit of environment and you allow yourself to be able to use this lens is going to give you incredible output for value in terms of your money.